here's my meds, brother. Like, yeah, you gotta line it up. Make sure you use your pinky. Line that up, brother. Chop this bad boy up. Chop it. You just want to snort it. Enough shenaniganing, if that's a word, around. Time to get to the serious brass tacks of Lexapro or SSRIs in general. I feel like this water's been somewhere so long that I just tasted wherever it's been. Gross. Okay. My experience on Lexapro, I just kind of want to talk about this because I feel like before when I wanted to start taking the medication, there wasn't really any like super candid, like just kind of talks about like, hey, this is what it's like. It was all very like, fear, you're gonna die and you're gonna feel really like, it was all this like just negativity around it. And I don't think that's a good place to start, you know, like if you've been prescribed with medications or SSRIs like Lexapro, I'm here to tell you just my experience and hopefully help you make your own decision. Whether you do decide to take it or not, I feel like one thing that's kind of important to recognize is that there will be side effects, right? Medication comes with its side effects, and this is true. It can happen. However, I think the one part that a lot of people don't really acknowledge is like also not taking the medicine also has side effects. I feel like it's important to keep into consideration like, hey, there's pros and cons to both taking and not taking it. So I just feel like you need to keep that in mind to make a fair assessment. I've actually taken Lexapro twice. So this is why, and I had 2 different experiences. So that's also like, if you've taken it before and didn't have a good experience, I'd say don't give up on it. Maybe try it again. Maybe it'll work out better, because it did for me. The first time around, I took it at a time where I really needed it. I felt I was in a really bad place. I'll be honest, I'll be straightforward here. I've always experienced anxiety. Like anxiety is always something that I've dealt with for a really long time. Like for as long as I can remember, to the point where like it does affect like day-to-day life. And I never really wanted to take medication. It seemed to me kind of weird to have to take this external thing when I was like, you know, born into this world without taking it, you know, and that makes sense. And I totally get it. That's your line of thinking, but also like there's other things that we do like that are like medical interventions. I don't know if you can say like glasses. Like I don't think anybody would like get on anybody's case about wearing glasses. Like, yo, wearing that glass and plastic and metal frame around your face is not normal. You weren't born with glasses, and if you did, you'd probably hurt your mom. I don't know why. Pretty funny. I'm picturing a baby being born with glasses already put on. But yeah, anyways, I know it's not an exact, you know, one-to-one metaphor or whatever you want to call it, but that idea I think there's some truth to that. Like, you wouldn't blame somebody for needing glasses to make their day-to-day life easier. Same thing with meds. I don't understand why there's so much negative stigma around taking a medication if it helps your day-to-day life. So I've always had anxiety. In this particular time, I was in a pretty bad spot. Emotionally, I was just a wreck. I had trouble processing what I was going through at the time. So I got on meds, and I will say it was super effective, super quick. The first time around, I was only on Lexapro. Now this is at a point where I was very emotional. I couldn't really function well. I was pretty much crying every day. Loser, wasp. But it's true. I was really sad and depressed, and just I couldn't get over this, right? So I took Lexapro, and I think one thing that I realized right away is that it did take away my anxiety. I could finally like live and do things without freaking the fuck out, which was really interesting because I had taken it for like, I feel like I had taken it for a circumstantial reason, but really it improved so much around my life too. Like normal things like driving, I was having problems with, like I would avoid certain things, and now I wasn't really so like circular thinking and being so sad. So I wasn't depressed. I wasn't thinking about this thing that happened. I wasn't nervous about traffic and thinking worst case scenarios, because that's another thing I would do. I would just like think worst case scenario about everything super creatively, to the point where like it stopped me from doing things. So all that went away. But there were side effects, right? And that's ultimately why I stopped taking it. Also, processing emotion and stuff was way better on Lexapro. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but I felt extremely clear-minded. I felt like I was making good, logical decisions, where before I was making emotional decisions that weren't really good for me.
I felt like I could take my time a little bit more and I could think a lot better, and I could make decisions despite the feeling. Like I knew I felt a type of way about it, but I wasn't overwhelmed with the feeling, but I knew I felt a type of way about it, but I could still make decisions that I knew were good and logical. And I felt like that's what it helped most. But the side effects, I didn't feel that many emotions. That's the other thing. Like I didn't feel super happy. And it's kind of funny to say, because I think before that I wasn't very regulated emotionally, as far as like I'd feel really happy and I'd feel really sad and really happy and really sad. And I don't miss like the dips of the sadness, but I definitely miss like the highs of the being super happy. So I didn't like that. There were definitely like, I saw somebody online call it no Lexapro. And that was definitely like a thing that happens. Like your libido goes down. Let's be blunt. And also, but I don't know if it's the worst thing in the world. Yeah, it is the worst thing in the world. But in some instances, it's kind of good to just be clear-headed, you know?
But I definitely miss those emotions, and I wanted to feel my emotions again. So I stopped taking it. And I also just conceptually, I just didn't want to have to rely on a pill every single day, which is kind of silly because I don't know, it was doing so much good for me. But anyways, stopped taking it, was just fine. And then again, at some point last year, anxiety started ramping up again. I started feeling those feelings again, and and I was battling through it. I was trying so many different things. That's the other thing. I feel like a lot of people feel like, oh, you know, taking pills is the easy way out. It's a quick fix it, which it's not. It's a quick fix, you know, and it's like the easy, cheap way out. And you know, you're lame if you take it, or whatever the stigma is. But I will say that that's not true, first of all. And you know, I wanted to try everything else. Like in my mind, like I was like, I got to sleep better. I got to eat better. I'm going to work out. I'm going to think differently about things. I'm going to watch like therapy videos and try to have these tools and strategies to try to, you know, be a little bit more like, how do you say it? Like to be more level-headed or to be able to know how to deal with his anxiety. But the thing is, at this point, my anxiety was so bad that even though I would try these things, it was not working. Like I couldn't even get to it, you know? Ironically, I feel like once I started taking my meds, then I had a little bit more access to being able to like regulate myself using these skills and whatnot. So it's like, it lowers your anxiety down to kind of open you up, you know, because it's really hard when you're dysregulated and you're having like a freaking panic attack and you can't think straight. You're like, your head's in the cloud, your mind's in the clouds, and you feel super lightheaded to be like, okay, like, let's process this. What was your thought before? What's your new thought? Or like, what else is there? Like, there's start breathing, and it's like those things do help, and they're very real. But like when you're in the middle of having like an anxiety attack or a panic attack, like you're gonna be hard to reach. It's gonna be hard to reach that part of you that can improve with these tools. You know what I mean? Those tools aren't even accessible. So if you're constantly going through anxiety attacks and panic attacks, you're not going to be able to, it's going to be really difficult, I should say. So started taking the meds, started feeling a lot better. And I did have side effects. This time around, the side effects were different. This time, I could feel it, like maybe at first being kind of hard to sleep. It made me maybe nauseous for sure. The first, I think, week or two, I just felt like kind of like throwing up, felt really bad. And then just bathroom issues, like stomach aches, kind of. The thing is, I was already having those things with the anxieties. I was actually like it was a different, I could tell it was a different thing that was keeping me up, a different thing that was making my stomach hurt. But it was better than what I had before, honestly, because the anxiety was causing me bathroom issues. The anxiety was causing me a lack of sleep. The anxiety was causing me restlessness. And my sleep actually improved when I was on when I was on the Lexapro. I felt like depression, I felt anxiety, and it helped a good amount, like Lexapro did. But this time around, it didn't really fully get rid of my anxiety. The depression was completely gone, and this feeling of dread of like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of us have been there, especially if you're watching this video, you know what I'm talking about. Like there's this dread of just like everything fucking sucks, everything's bad. Just negativity on negativity. That part was gone, but the anxiety was still there. The bodily reactions to the anxiety
were still there. And then I took like an anti-anxiety medicine. So I think that's kind of common. A lot of times you'll take an SSRI with an anti-anxiety medicine or whatever. And it's been pretty good ever since. Now I kind of understand why they say like, oh, you should be doing therapy with your medication. And I think it's because it makes therapy that much more effective, because I'm just putting it together. Like I said, you can think a lot more clearly when you're on these medications. So if you can think more clearly when you're on these medications, you know, you're probably going to be more receptive to the tools and to the therapy that you actually receive. So if you're on the fence about taking medications and you haven't tried them before, and you've been prescribed it, obviously, maybe don't be so scared of it, I would say. And if you don't like it, if it's not for you, you can just stop. I just feel like the side effects do scare people off, and for good reason. However, it's not often that we consider the effects and side effects of not taking a medicine or living with your anxiety or depression or what have you. Not to mention, like if you're like, oh, I want to eat better and sleep better and work out and have more of a social life and do all these things before, like, you know, to treat my anxiety, you can still do that when you're on medication, and it's probably gonna be easier to do that. So I don't know, those are just my general takes. Other side effects that I had is like I definitely noticed like this, I think they call it like activation day or something, where I was just like pumped up. I was just really excited. I was a little too energetic. I was kind of like loud, more than usual. And I just felt really good. And I felt like super hyper clear focused. I was like, oh, I was on one, and I was having a good old time. And I was like, if this is my new life, hell mother freaking yeah. I'm locked in, hyper focused. I can take on the world. Sounds like a different kind of, anyways, but that didn't last very long. That only lasted a couple days, and I was kind of bummed to be back to the normal, but happy to be not back to my previous normal. Anyways, those are my thoughts. If you have any questions or whatever, you know, leave them in the comment section down below. Maybe I'll respond in a little video like this or whatever. But I just wanted to share this because I feel like there wasn't enough just candid talks about SSRIs and Lexapro, and just like not enough like normal experiences. It was like all this like very scary stuff about like, oh, you're gonna develop a dependency, you're gonna develop all these things. But I had hit a point where it was so bad that I felt like that stuff doesn't really matter. I just want to feel a little bit better. And I feel like you shouldn't have to wait to get to that point before you start making changes to feel better, whether that be your medication or other things that will work for you. But yeah, that's just my experience. Again, I'm not a professional. Make your own decisions with you and your doctor/medical professional. That's my little disclaimer for the video. This is just like me talking to you, person to person, hermano to hermano, hermana, hermanex, hermane. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you later probably. Peace.